Okay, I want to tell you this about a story today. So, this has been reported various places. First, I'll tell you the story. Economic recovery alarming Democrats. But I'm going to tell you first, just the most interesting thing. There was a guy who was in the Obama administration, a top economist, top economic advisor in the Obama administration named Jason Furman. Jason Furman gave a speech. Now we're in the shutdown here. He's a Harvard guy, but they're in the shutdown now. So it was a Zoom speech. But you've probably all been doing Zoom meetings, Zoom speeches. You sit there in front of your computer at home. Everybody else is home. You can choose to have your face showing or not, but you're in a Zoom meeting. So this guy, this Obama guy, comes on, and honestly, the people listening to it are pretty much all Democrats. This is a meeting he is conducting. And he's speaking on Zoom. It was a bipartisan group of top officials from both parties. So he's supposed to be actually, presenting. He's an economist, so you think he's going to, present economic stuff, but he's a leftist. He's an Obama guy. He opened his speech to this bipartisan group saying, "We are about to see the best economic data we've seen in the history of this country." Now, if you've been following what's been happening in this country with the coronavirus shutdown, with industry shut down to a standstill, with non-essential, according to government bureaucrats, businesses shut down, people shut in their homes, people not able to go out and engage in normal life, people losing jobs, people losing the business they spent their whole life building up. Small businesses, the massive collapse of small businesses in this country is a crying tragedy. So we're in a mess right now, economically. And yet this guy, an Obama economist, started out by saying, we're about to see the best economic data we've seen in the history of this country. And people talked about, everyone listening, thinking, I thought he's a Democrat. I thought he's an Obama guy. I thought he was going to regale us with how rotten the economy is and therefore Trump won't win. And he was saying exactly the opposite. The country is poised to come roaring back. The American people actually had a taste of the joy of freedom and free markets in the first 3 years of the Trump administration. They loved the businesses they created. They loved the free market economy. They saw bursting with energy. They want to get it back. They want to get back to work. They want to get back to activity. And he's saying what he sees, his economic numbers are telling him. He laid out a detailed case for why the months preceding the November election could offer Trump the chance to brag truthfully about the most explosive monthly employment numbers and gross domestic product growth ever. And this is a guy who doesn't want to be saying this. It really matters to grasp this. This is a guy who maybe in his heart is kind of gloating because the Democrat-led overreaction to the coronavirus, the blue state governors continuing to try to keep their state shut down, continuing to try to expand this crisis as long as possible to keep the economy depressed. This guy is somebody who's probably in his private moment celebrating. But he doesn't want to have his reputation. He is, after all, a grand, hoo-ha professor at Harvard, an Obama guy, and he's saying there's a massive economic recovery coming. You can read this article at my website, americacanwetalk.org. On the homepage under shows, drop down list of links. Fabulous, fabulous article. Fabulous presentation of why we should expect an unbelievable economic comeback as we move toward the fall elections. But the point of this segment with you today is not just to say, isn't that great? It is great. I'm all for it. I think the country must reopen. Sooner the better. Businesses need to reopen. Schools need to reopen. But the point I want to make in this segment is the big political picture. Because what he said has been repeated by the way, other people have been saying this too, but I thought it was really important to mention to you that an Obama top economist was saying this. But Larry Kudlow, White House National Economic Council head, I totally agree. He's saying, this is Larry Kudlow, a Trump guy, Q3 may be the single biggest GDP quarter since regular data. Second half, super big growth, transitioning to 4% or more in 2021. And so he says, he called Furman, this Obama economist, Jason Furman. Larry Kudlow said about him, he's usually a straight shooter. Hats off to him. Same thing coming out of Kevin Hassett, top Trump economic advisor, who pointed to the Congressional Budget Office in the analysis predicting a 21.5% annualized growth rate in the third quarter. People, economists, it's like you can feel it. You can feel it around you. You can feel it where you live. People are ready for life to return to the economy, to the country. And so these economists are saying good news coming. But the political point in telling you this is to have you understand and really urge you to think about the idea that Democrats see a restoring of the American economy, an explosion of growth in the American economy, and the happiness of the American worker getting back to work, seeing the economy growing, seeing businesses reopening, seeing businesses restarting, just building our economy again. Democrats see this as bad news. I know you can excuse it and say, well, because they want, Biden to win, and so they are not going to get excited about news that's going to help Trump win. But I really want you to think about how evil that is. America is suffering. The American people are suffering. We have an astonishing and horrific spike in suicides, in domestic violence, in violence toward children. We have a massive explosion of applications for unemployment insurance, unparalleled since the Great Depression. Unemployment insurance requests. People are suffering. Food banks are clamoring for more food. Schools are putting out notice. Families who are used to having their kids who get food at school, they need help. The country's hurting. Any person with a conscience, with a heart, should be thinking, this is great if economists are saying the country's going to come back. The country's going to be restored. The country is going to explode. The economy is going to come back again. It should make every human being with a heart happy. But this is not the reaction of the Democrat Party. Various statements, and these are Democrats warning. Democrats are warning each other. My big worry, in fact, someone asked a high-level Obama official talking to a news outlet, saying essentially, they asked, well, how concerned is the Democrat Party about the idea that the economy is apparently going to come roaring back? Top Obama official said, top member of the Obama team said, the level of concern is high. It's high, 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 high. Other people in the left-wing news sites, Politico is talking about this whole idea is that, the Democrat Party needs a bad economy to win. They recognize the American people actually want work. They want what conservatives want. They want the free market, fully employed, self-reliant American people producing goods and services. What we do as an American people, that's what conservatives want, and that's what Democrats don't want. They describe it as truly, truly concerned that they will be hurt by the idea. And in fact, I'm going to tell you a few other quick things about how great things are going. There was a Wall Street Journal piece talking about it. Truckloads are growing again. Air travel, hotel bookings are slightly up. Mortgage applications are rising. More people are applying to open new businesses. For the first time since the pandemic forced a widespread U.S. business closure, it appears conditions in some corners of the economy aren't getting worse. They might even be improving. And people, my final point about the Democrats and them being really bothered and upset about the fact that economists, including Obama economists, are saying the economy is going to come roaring back before the fall. It's not just that the Democrats don't like this because they want to win the election and they don't want to have Trump have a good economy to run on. It's not really just that. today's Democrat Party are simply socialists. They are Marxists. They are big government control freaks. They hate the idea of a free market, entrepreneurial America roaring back to power, roaring back to strength, because it destroys the left-wing mission initiated by Obama. And frankly, Obama wasn't the first one. In this country, the leftists in this country, from going back to the 1910s and 1920s, when communists came to this country and started working at and trying to chip away at the strength of the American economy, and also chip away at the people's belief in the goodness and the power and the workability of freedom and free markets, the leftist movement in this country has grown and grown and grown and grown for decades, filling academia with economics and political science professors, teaching young people that free markets don't really work, capitalism doesn't work, that the freedom of the worker is to bring socialism, Marxist control over the economy, eventually communism. We have a nation filled with millennials who heard this garbage in college, and they thought because their professors had a PhD by their names and taught at fancy universities that they must know what they're talking about. So we have a battle in this country between the leftists, unfortunately fed a lot by people in academia, feeding seeding the crowd, seeding the leftist movement in this country. You have leftists who now, the radical socialist left, controls the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party does not have just a few wild-eyed leftists, kind of like Bernie Sanders and AOC and Rashida Tlaib. Those people are at least honest, and they say, yeah, I'm a socialist. But the economic agenda of the Democrat Party, the mainstream Democrat Party, is socialist. It's nothing less. And so socialists want government-controlled society. They want to be in control of everything you do, what options you have, what businesses produce, when they're allowed to produce. And this whole shutdown, based on the coronavirus, gave them a kickstart into shifting America's thought more and more toward the idea that the economy really isn't rooted in freedom, that your rights aren't really rooted in freedom, rooted in our founding documents, that in fact, your rights, your functioning, they come from government. This is what the left has accomplished in this coronavirus shutdown, or attempt to accomplish, is to continue to plant the seed in the American people that you really, really, you're not as free as you thought you were. You live in a country where we tell you what happens. We tell you what is going to be, when your business can open, when you can work, whether or not you can ever open your business again. So back to my point in this segment, to kind of wrap it up, I think you should ask yourself, anyone you know who's voting Democrat or even thinks about voting Democrat, you have to understand this is not the Democrat Party of the, looking out for the little guy mindset of maybe your grandmother had, or your uncle who used to talk to you about politics, or your dad. The Democrat Party is filled with radical socialists. It is the mantra, it is the platform they have. If you read their platform, they're not about freedom, they're not about free markets, they're not about having the American people celebrate and revel in the greatness of the economy created in the first 3 years of the Trump administration, which, to be clear, is not Trump personally. It is the ideas he brought to bear in America's economy and politics. He brought America back to freedom, back to the idea we were founded on, and this is the America that people got to see. They got to see is like watching a movie, watching America rebirthed in freedom in these first 3 years of the Trump administration, the economy roaring, and Americans got a lesson that everything they've been hearing from the left for decades, from Obama and before, that tell them that free markets don't work, that the only way going forward is government-controlled society, that more and more of industry should be controlled by government. The American people got a front row seat in the Trump economy and said, wow, this is what freedom looks like. I want this. And when economists, including an Obama-era economist, is telling people, yeah, the economy is coming back, it's coming roaring back, think about what kind of person you must be to find that news depressing. A power-hungry leftist who does not really want the American people to revel in abundance and prosperity and freedom. This is antithetical to what the left wants. What Trump produced for the American people is evidence that freedom works, free economy, a free market economy, self-reliance, entrepreneurship, low taxes, limited regulation, bringing business back to America. Trump showed America that freedom works. And this is among the many, many reasons the left is so determined to destroy him, because he's putting the lie to everything they stand for and everything they argue for.